necessities the argument should be ignored. A creates too much process focus that traces off substantive education about the topic. We don't have enough literature about particular test cases. Have any full vacancies, safely breastfeed is enough to say you don't specify who brings the bill to the floor of Congress, or you feel Congress brings attention to the Congress who make major and details about the dispute are literally irrelevant to negative ground as fog. In 2000, Supreme Court adopted someone's have discretion to choose which cases to focus on. Just find issue legal issues posed by the case finding details of dispute between litigants and the court can always find a case out of any 90 with more in front of case finding the Supreme Court can always find a case to raise any policy issue which judgment decided. Supreme Court is on gun this find issue wants to silence the Supreme Court wants to find issue in document maybe parties say the argument that justice wants to consider and the court can find a case rule in O'Brien 2000 current court's part of the case of warrants large document such as normal super power legislative the court and folks of the Roman Commission deciding issues that support the government process also it is not a resolution of question which means you don't evaluate basic computing interpretation they have to abuse in the round in order to now do it top the first argument we already supposed to overrule second plaintiffs that keep would force the F39 plan on education capital become competitive cross sections and third is clarification substance so piece no 3 when later being resistance resolve question control authorities that get the latter piece of rules substance the prior holding 4 is limits their interpretation loss any such as overruling that takes does functionally overruling bias predictability most cases are done substance so what first two cases sometimes quote overrules the other times does substance to direct overrulings rather than use with the violence dark size and seven ground explicit implicit debates to destroy ground because they're both formed to overrule pretty stupid debates come down to the differential and legitimate self we're not extra topical in order we win our counter interpretation that we were in overrule there's no risk that we can be extra topical also education focusing on the term overrule destroys the education down to no more it's critically important to analyze the case that piece conclusions based on the language overrule with respect to what the law search in overrule not only explain what the current case with case out and precedents that inevitably to in aggregate results in this critical analysis including analyze what happened in each case inside what issue there's no way never to be superior interpretations allowed the nature arbitrary to find the about the topic also counter interpretation overrule means rules directly the opposite of the prior case Westlaw exact American law is constitutional decision taken on later decision and that decision was direct opposite to earlier decision tried to authorities present also precedent or legitimate is artificially inflate the work bad is aspect created legal risk now some be still when it's by sides every topic agency there's no soft advocates that predictability also you still make your decisions to see which kind of class why now the Caroline. First arguments for permutation, permutation builds also 100% of their arguments in cross-examination are relevant in a world where our permutation does two separate rulings, which means that there is no conflation between sexual and gender because there are separate rulings and therefore separate bills on those second. Those issues also there's solvency or are in the environments or bench arguments and he said overruling Morrison is the critical precedent. That's the one that allows the justices to create alliances in the Supreme Court that allows them to roll back environmental regulations. Now you are so wrong on this counterplan. You conceded our business confidence bench arguments and he said predictability is critical in the world where you don't overrule the Morrison decision and that there are separate tests for sexual violence cases and gender violence cases that leads to more unpredictability, which means that you can not win a risk that you solve of our business confidence bench also conditionalities bad strategies to hinders whose abilities to that condition your arguments against contribution position B time allocation local world special coverage choose to focus the debates while we don't answer well under purpose debate the destroy education because eliminates more depth to debate critical thinking that's voting fairness education also picks us bad is usurps the Wednesday we came to Wednesdays often to get that benefits B simply rights allows a number of enforcement funding organizational counterclaim sees education forces to make for some issues huge patch to Wednesday voter affairs education also conditional and independence uniquely badly kick capital news RP turns against us in defense of the status quo which is an independent voting issue also and that essentially destroys any feminist movement by preventing women from mobilizing around common goals concerns so no board accusation essentially becomes the primary being made to affairs and privileged institutions of the board thoughts and down power to essentially implement denying power and share which essentially supply themselves with diverse form as a distinct social group center and critique society from not sharing common social education expanded from mobilizing in common situations the same essentially becomes the underlying common schools as a social critique in this political movement result change also we simultaneously recognize that women do not have political common identities or characteristics but also recognize the same set of press structure to operate against them we solve their advantage as so no for feminist philosophies they need to apply such to continue to identify women as a group this could be accomplished because women are best positions in society who would seriously put political gender rules and codes which have these are their reputation judges understanding quote these are their reputation of serious language now become an identity by arguing that they projects gender in fair was the embarrassment in the center really they became process of serious and far feminist structure or getting back to constraining to operate because possible to become a being incorporated into political.
They don't remove current instances.
And they don't remove current. You should send the last piece of evidence from what is the argument that the status quo is uniquely worse, and those identities are inevitable because states institute these remedies and states institute criminalization of those laws, which means that a discussion of those genders is inevitable. Which means that if they win their argument about how we can play gender and sexual violence as solves, means the counterplan can't solve either. Critique. First is the appeal to the government institutions will unfair framework is critical to affirm ground if they can make their ethical way by asserting that veto is bad, then every affirmative will lose off this destroys education by encouraging negatives and never actually research and application which prevents our ability to engage public debate on policy beats up its predictable framework questions be grounded in the resolution this allows some critical ground prevents unpredictable frameworks which hurts both teams because all impacts advantages and listed this as critiques are short certified framework questions see their alternative is the equivalent of private actor veto which isn't fair and is overly utopian is the equivalent of fiat and terrorists won't have to do us and would debate impossible to avoid fairness education also even if fiat instances our advocacy so soft as Yamamoto, 5 critical legal sense public pressure, and the second back to the species of the public education performance, critically analyzing the needs for courts to scrutinize the actions of courts to create the public contributing content that must be court access, much beyond the constitutional principle working to government to access to judicial security, political educational organization. We need to speak out to develop the courts to be vigilant. Also, there's no impact to Santos. Santos impacts the entire project of neoliberals and not a single application of it. The alternative is it doesn't solve it. Also, Santos isn't qualified to make sweeping generalizations without evidence or demonstrated causality. Santos' arguments totalizing it's no different from saying the U.S. entry into Germany during World War II was genocide because it killed Germans to save the Jews. And third, Santos' wrongly critique is too simplistic, doesn't preclude meaningful assessment of neoliberal economics peers. In all one and finally, Santos provides more noteworthy treatment subsequent balancing of perspective. So it comes across two course with several sense to general penetrate with exams powers to be things runs this little work with treatment sense is schematics. It's a matter of sound his properties small scale economics of small scale sociology state his more concept economic supply and sociology and economics and Germany solve war that's man of one night after being points to find the world wars with the advanced destruction of nuclear war which training effects cost wars into increase in unchecked fighting to Marx on the self-war into the observatory the state has become an economic institution supposed to be avoided the versus continue what we then risk their lives and worry another risk options major effects going over some states are increasingly democratic. The democratic Marxist businesses challenge the war by progress society pays the highest conflicts also turn transition wars racial wars results from class of capitalism comes on the side can't alright and it is global economic war by reject that conditions for instance its critical nature power and reducing in intensification to old arms system which today is traditionally encouraging major conflagrations setting the case for eventual holocaust and a transition war that magnitude will cause extinction Pinkerton and also the only way to get Soviet credit government to reverse the German revolution what that can happen there's on this American revolution will be ways of proliferation one weapons that's to the next American movie and then a Euro person's society visits of course with the United States government the destructive power in the future conflict really free and unfree like also permutation to both this is Salisbury the alternative that's why say 99 Can you really make them have any things you do business to join you do things the things you do are right now the points attempt to shorten that between side open point that it's one and well so you're point the working if you want to challenge whether the nation maintains such relationship to an action where the February every day they make a difference you do and improve people's lives also local action camps all the tartan and Negri in 2000 the local student policy damage to common sense policy economics global local students that global intentional system local person that do this it's the bottom kind of moral stuff it's right sensibilities the evidence slash strategy is the principles but evidence are autonomous not being from sport development capitalism imperialism machine global safety terrorism sharpening into motor sense differentiation identification strategy global physics modifies contains service banking and negative sort of relationship potential system environment do what's for officers to be for the outside to the direct impact and trying to empire as much as the heterogeneity recognizing factors complexity environment analysis the powerful multitude and the trade stops complex solving increased use of manufacturing base critical to jobs in the third world 2014 and new access to high page when it's going to American cheap conservative imports political behind and appreciate the experts are actually doubling plastics nations critical and initiating wars international global influence that are complicated to that of all 1920 approach culminating 30 million dead second war and trade key engagement in African solving war actually scratch it. What? State failure causes global instability, or reverse globalization causes state failure. This word, Adwin does not come from central and state failure, global potentially systems associated with hiring themselves. Also, with the ability to build a new global economy information from the biological revolution, with some of these people who are people failing games, first, like the incident state failure determined. These are developing what's into global conversation, state failure kills global stability, causes proliferation, class leadership. Atwood in 2003, Michigan state failure, third security failures, just global ethics and instability, and they have contributed back to value in leadership, the imperative from crisis, global neighborhood, which several of common U.S. military, the operating acquisition, WD, terrorist activities, the interference to defend the interest in tactical and military defense, such weak ability to use to defend security interests, move more towards a traditional war scenario and trace key to the Germany that dormant, no one millions of percent the status of economy, really run traditional and defense business, American possession is essential to the personal ability to remain strong and effective leader in the global economy and crucial protections, increase costs to consumer and disadvantages to develop countries, findings, lasting purchase policies, strict moral competition, because that can be cost, but the cost of consumer businesses, the best amateur value, which protects agriculture, European agriculture subsidies among the largest reachable trade foundation here, some subsidies makes the European countries take pricing more than food market that lives kill millions of ashes.
No.
Okay. Is the framework argument on the critique a reason to reject the counterplan too, or no? Because it's fiating for governmental institutions, yes?
Yeah, it's not a reason.
Okay, cool. Just double checking.
I mean, it's a reason to reject the counterplan if you just go for the alternative.
Well, yeah, obviously, if we're going.
I mean, I'm just making that caveat.
But it's not like a framework argument that will suddenly apply to the counterplan,
no,
and vice versa.
So the only way it'll apply is if you kick the counterplan and go for the net benefit as a critique.
Okay, cool. And then the only other theory arguments were conditionality bad, PICS bad, and in theory, plan text focus on a different flow.
Huh?
Yeah, okay, no, that's cool.
Okay.
How are we anti-essentialism?
I mean, it's more defense against your alternative. Our evidence just indicates that acknowledging that women suffer problems that are unique to women and not unique to men is important to mobilizing activism, etc.
The two pieces of stone evidence that you read indicate that we are, they're against anti-essentialism feminists. Right. How are we that?
I'll explain it again.
What's the link?
It's a reason. It's an offensive reason why the use of gender is better.
No. It doesn't talk about gender. It talks about feminist philosophers who oppose.
I understand that he's talking about anti-essentialism, but the application to the debate.
Show me where.
Where what?
Where it says that the use of the term gender is a good thing, and that anything beyond or any reason how we're anti-essentialist.
Okay. This is the part we're using. By denying women any shared features, anti-essentialism seems to imply that there's nothing.
We say women have.
It's a reason as to why.
Sex, like women have vaginas, men have penises.
No, our evidence is talking about shared experiences, i.e., problems like 95%.
How do we prevent women from identifying with each other?
Our evidence indicates that when you allow for broad application of what it means to be a woman and that they have experiences that are unique to them, that is better.
Right. How do we preclude that? You're not answering the question.
Your AF doesn't do that by rejecting ideas about gender.
Why? What evidence do you read that indicates that the rejection of the term gender?
We don't really use evidence on that.
Do you read any evidence that indicates that the term sexual difference is bad?
No.
Or sexual violence?
No.
Do you have any offense then?
Yeah, you don't solve any of the AF.
Because we're not an explicit overrule?
No, because you put two Supreme Court rulings in direct opposition to each other.
Do you have any evidence that indicates that the Violence Against Women Act is not based upon sexual violence as opposed to gender?
The Violence Against Women Act is based on gender. That was
right. What
treated
evidence?
to the animus standard.
The 2AC.
If you bring that up, if you really want to
contest
what is the
I just
truth,
want to make sure the 1AR doesn't come out in the 1AR.
Well, we made that argument in the 2AC.
Animus standard is a standard based on gender-based violence, not sexualized violence. If you want to contest that, I mean, go ahead. If you have a card that says the animus standard is not gender-based, then go.
All right.
Yes, sir.
That was our analytic the almost over case, so you should probably read that.
I got you.
No.
Did what?
Framework is a-
Pretty cool.